Have you ever noticed that the more you try to hold everything back, control everything, predict everything, the more your life becomes stuck? And it's not because the world is against you. It's because you're spending too much energy trying to make reality obey your fear. And when you live like that, even good things come your way and you can't receive them because you're tense, suspicious, internally racing, as if life were always a threat about to happen. And today I want to show you a path that is simple in theory, but powerful when you apply it. Because Stoicism wasn't made to leave you zen. It was made to give you inner control to take care of yourself, let go of what doesn't belong to you, and thus make life flow again without you having to humiliate yourself, wear yourself out, or get lost in anxiety. So if you want this kind of mindset, leave a like and subscribe, because here the idea is practical, it's real life, it's mental training. And comment with the phrase from the video, "My life will flow," not as a beautiful wish, but as a commitment. Because when you declare this, you start paying attention to the attitudes that are holding you back in life. And that's exactly what we're going to address now with 8 lessons from Stoicism, one by one, without beating around the bush. Lesson 1. Take care of your own territory before trying to control the world. Some people want everything to improve, but they don't take care of the basics. You don't look after your sleep. You don't look after your body. You don't look after what you consume with your eyes and mind. You don't look after your environment. You don't look after your own words. And then they wonder why life is so heavy, why their mind won't stop, why nothing is moving forward. The first thing Stoicism teaches, even without using that name, is that your life doesn't begin on the outside, it begins on the inside. And the inside has a territory that needs order, because without internal order, you try to solve everything in a hurry, and haste is the sister of anxiety. When you take care of yourself the right way, you're not being selfish, you're being strategic, because you become someone with structure, and those who have structure don't need to beg life to adjust itself. He adjusts, and the world responds. The mistake is thinking that self-care is about taking time whenever you can. No, self-care is treating your mind like a house that needs to be minimally clean so you can think, decide, and act clearly. And here comes a simple historical practice. Every morning before entering the chaos, you choose your state. You decide what your posture is. And this isn't motivation, it's direction. You do it in an objective way. You choose something you control and do it immediately, small but firm, like someone regaining control. It could be tidying your room. It could be water on your face and 5 minutes of silence. It could be putting your cell phone away for a while. It could be a short walk. What matters is the internal symbol. You are saying to yourself, "I command my beginning." And when you start like that, you don't enter the day begging for energy. You enter with presence, and life begins to flow, not because everything is perfect, but because you have become more grounded. If you want things to move forward, start with your own territory, because those who don't tend to their own land try to harvest from abandoned soil, and that only generates frustration. Lesson 2. The test of the 2 weights. What you carry that isn't even yours. I'm going to propose a very simple test, and it will already change the way you walk through life. Because many people say they are tired of life, but in reality, they are tired of carrying invisible weight that shouldn't even be on their backs. You walk with the weight of other people's opinions, with the weight of family expectations, with the weight of having to appear strong all the time, with the weight of having to respond quickly, with the weight of having to prove your worth, and you accumulate this as if it were normal. But it's not normal. This is a silent form of slavery. In Stoicism, there is a division that seems simple, but it's a blade. What depends on you and what doesn't. But I don't want to just stay in theory. I want you to feel this in practice. Today, when a worry arises, ask yourself a single question. Is this my weight or is it borrowed weight? Because when you name, you separate. And when you separate, you begin to let go. Borrowed weight is that which comes from the outside. What will they think? What if I disappoint? What if I'm not recognized? What if I seem weak? Your character determines your true worth. What is right? What is my attitude now? What do I need to do even without the will? Notice how borrowed weight only makes you reactive and your own weight makes you active. One drains you, the other organizes you. Every time you feel your mind starting to spin, make a conscious exchange. Take the wrong question and replace it with the right one. Instead of, how do I please? You ask, what is the next worthy step? Instead of, how do I avoid being criticized? You ask, what do I control now? Instead of, how do I ensure certainty? You ask, what can I do with clarity even without certainty? This is applied Stoicism. It's how you let go without abandoning responsibility. Because letting go isn't about being neglected. Letting go is shedding excess that isn't yours. And when you remove that excess, life flows with less noise, less weight, less anxiety, and you begin to move like someone who doesn't need to carry the world in their pocket. Lesson 3. The 10-minute rule. You don't need to solve life, you just need to respect yourself. Now, there's a mental trap that holds many people back, and it even looks like maturity, but it's just disguised anxiety. The person thinks they need to solve everything today, decide everything today, understand everything today, organize everything today. And when they can't, they blame themselves. And when they blame themselves, they lose energy. And when they lose energy, they get even more stuck, and it becomes a cycle that seems impossible to break. Stoicism breaks this cycle in a very practical way. It pulls you back to the present, not as a pretty phrase, but as a method. So, I'm going to give you a simple rule that works because it's short and repeatable. The 10-minute rule. Whenever you're stuck, anxious, scattered, or have that feeling that life is a mess, you don't try to fix your life. You choose a 10-minute block and do something that is your responsibility with total focus, without bargaining, with your mind. 10 minutes cleaning a part of your environment. 10 minutes resolving a small pending issue. 10 minutes walking and breathing mindfully. 10 minutes reviewing a plan for the day. 10 minutes studying something specific. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a clean, concrete action that restores your self-respect. And why is this so important? Because it trains a central principle. You learn to act without depending on your mood, without depending on the perfect scenario, without depending on being inspired. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And when you do it, you regain a sense of control. And inner control is what creates flow. When you let the day carry you away, everything seems heavy. But when you pull the rudder, even if only for 10 minutes, you change direction. That's the most important part. In those 10 minutes, you don't solve your existence. You prove to yourself that you are still in command. And when you prove this every day, you begin to feel a silent change because the mind understands that there's no point in making a drama out of it. It will have to obey. That's how life begins to flow, not with big external upheavals, but with small internal decisions repeated until they become character. Lesson 4. The yes that holds you back. When you say yes to everyone, you say no to your life. There's a kind of blockage that doesn't seem like a blockage. You seem like a good person. You seem helpful. You seem available, and that's why almost no one cuts you off. You keep saying yes, yes, yes. And when you realize that your life is full of commitments that don't build anything within you, they only consume you. And the worst part is, you don't even know where you started to abandon yourself anymore, because it was done politely, little by little, as if you didn't want conflict. But Stoicism is clear on one thing. If you don't choose your direction, someone else chooses for you. And many people lose their own flow because they are living someone else's agenda, someone else's expectations, someone else's urgency. And then the obvious happens. You lack the energy for yourself, the focus to evolve, the time to take care of the basics, and you start to feel frustrated with life as if life is holding you back when in reality, you opened the door and let everyone in. The practice here is simple and mature. One well-placed no a day, even if it's small, even if it's silent. You don't need to fight. You don't need to justify. You don't need to make a speech. You just need to stop selling yourself cheaply. Sometimes your no means not responding, immediately not accepting unproductive conversations, not getting involved in pointless discussions, not over-explaining, not committing to things you know will drain you. And this type of boundary creates flow because it creates space. Life doesn't flow in a clogged place. When you clean, when you close some doors, when you stop putting yourself as an accessory in other people's lives, your mind starts to breathe again. And then you can take care of yourself, do what needs to be done, and the rest starts to come because now you have the structure to sustain what comes. Lesson 5. The quickest way to stall life is to fight with what has already happened. If there's one thing that destroys the flow of life, it's the mind insisting on arguing with reality. You waste time repeating the same scene in your head, trying to find a better phrase, a better answer, a better attitude, trying to mentally go back to the past as if that would change anything. And while you fight with what's already gone, the present slips away, and the energy you needed to act becomes fuel for rumination. Stoicism teaches a posture that is almost mental hygiene, accepting the fact without accepting the meaning. The fact is, it happened. The meaning is, this destroyed me. This proves I'm weak. This shows my life isn't moving forward. The meaning is, where your mind holds you back, and when you cut that off, you start moving forward again. So, the practice is this, in the most direct way possible. When something hurts you, frustrates you, or delays you, you ask yourself 2 internal, very dry sentences. First, this happened. Second, what do I do now? It seems too simple, but that's exactly where most people fail because they prefer to stay in the past. It wasn't supposed to be like this. That's unfair. And you get stuck in a place where nothing moves. And it's not about swallowing everything. It's about stopping wasting energy where there's no way out. When you accept the fact, you're not approving the fact. You're saving your strength to act. And life begins to flow when you stop spending your mind trying to rewrite what has already happened and start using your mind to build what's to come. Lesson 6. The Stoic doesn't chase after things. He becomes the kind of person who doesn't need to chase. Many people confuse letting go with passivity, as if letting go meant standing still waiting for the universe to deliver. But that's not the idea. Stoicism is the opposite of laziness. It's discipline. The difference is that the Stoic doesn't move with desperation. He moves with clarity. He doesn't chase after what eludes him. He strengthens his own center. The truly centered are not slaves to want. So think about it. Why isn't your life flowing? Often it's because you're trying to force results without having internal structure. You want relationships, but you live anxiously. You want money, but you live impulsively. You want respect, but you're always explaining yourself. You want peace, but you're always fueling conflict. And then you try to solve everything by chasing after people, sending extra messages, insisting, exposing yourself, trying to control other people's reactions. This drains and blocks you. The turning point here is building your value the right way with 2 things: consistency and posture. Consistency is doing what you said you would do, especially when no one is watching. Posture is stopping acting like someone who needs to be chosen all the time. And when you start doing that, strange things happen. You stop begging for crumbs, you start choosing better, you start putting yourself in better environments, you start acting more firmly, and the world responds because the world responds to those who have direction. Today's practice is very concrete. Choose a behavior that makes you chase after things and cut it out for 24 hours. It could mean stopping checking if the person has responded, stopping replaying the same conversation, stopping asking for validation, stopping explaining yourself, stopping insisting on a place that only drains you, and instead, you take constructive action, taking care of your body, studying, working, organizing, training a skill, tidying your environment. This isn't waiting. This is becoming stronger. When you become stronger, you let go naturally. And when you let go naturally, life flows, because now you're not trying to grasp the world with trembling hands. You're walking firmly, and what's yours arrives because you've become capable of sustaining it. Lesson 5. Exchange overthinking for governing your attention. If you want life to flow, there's something you need to understand honestly. A large part of your suffering doesn't come from the facts. It comes from the time your mind spends revolving around them. You call this thinking, but in practice, it's just hijacked attention. The mind jumps from scenario to scenario, converses with people who aren't even present, creates bad endings, prepares the defense, rehearses the response, and meanwhile, your real day is neglected. And then you feel tired, discouraged, irritated, without having done anything concrete, just trapped inside your head. Stoicism treats this as discipline. Attention is a resource. When you focus your attention on anything, you become a hostage to anything. So the practice is to stop trying to empty your mind and start governing your attention. Like a leader governs a city. You decide what goes in and what doesn't, what stays and what goes out. This isn't mystical, it's practice. Today, when you realize you're ruminating, you're going to perform a simple return ritual without drama and without internal dialogue. You choose a fixed point in the present, something physical, concrete, that's in front of you. It could be your breath, it could be the feeling of your feet on the ground, it could be the sound of the environment, it could be the water you're drinking, and you stay there for 30 seconds, as if firmly pulling your mind back by the collar. And then you decide on a minimal action, something that improves your day by 1%. That's it. You don't win over your mind with discussion, you win with direction. And little by little, you notice the effect of that. When you master your attention, life begins to flow because you become present again. And when you're present, you see opportunity, you see a path forward, you see a solution, you see what truly matters. The opposite of that is living scattered, and scattering always paralyzes. Lesson 8. Letting go is not losing. It's stopping clinging to what weakens you. Now, the last lesson is the most important because it brings everything together, and it's a type of maturity that few people accept. You don't freeze up because life is difficult. You become paralyzed by insisting on holding on to things that have been shown to be harmful. You are clinging to the need to be understood, clinging to the need to be right, clinging to the need for control, clinging to the need for answers, clinging to the need for approval, clinging to the idea that one day someone will give you what you haven't been able to build within yourself. And this becomes a silent attachment that binds you, because attachment is the opposite of freedom. The Stoic is not defined by what he wants. He is defined by what he chooses not to want when it costs him his peace. And this is much stronger than it seems, because it's easy to say, I want, and it's rare for someone to say, I let go with dignity. When you let go of what drains you, you don't lose, you give back. So, I want you to be very specific today without philosophizing too much. What is the thing you are holding on to that is stealing your energy? It could be a person, it could be an expectation, it could be a comparison, it could be a fear, it could be a habit, it could be a need to be recognized. Now, the Stoic practice is to choose a gesture of letting go. A real gesture, not a mental one. It could be stopping visiting a place that makes you feel bad. It could be stopping talking about a certain subject. It could be stopping chasing after things. It could be stopping looking at what irritates you. It could be organizing a part of your life that you've been putting off. It could be taking a practical step that closes a cycle, a gesture. And when you do that, you feel a different kind of silence because it's not emptiness, it's space. And it's in that space that life flows. Because before life knocked on the door and didn't come in, it was already full of anxiety, attachment, noise, and haste. Now there's space. And when there's space, what's yours arrives and you don't need to force it. If you apply just one thing from this video today, apply this. Take care of your territory, stop carrying borrowed weight, and let go of what weakens you, because your life won't flow when the world gives you permission. It will flow when you regain inner control. Choose a small action today to prove this in practice. And if this video helped you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who is trapped in their own mind. To conclude with a historical phrase that serves as a rule, it's not things that disturb us, but the judgment we make of them. And when you change your judgment, you change the path, and the path begins to move forward. See you in the next video. Until tomorrow.